All right, so today we're doing a deep dive into something really interesting and I think important too.
Yeah.
It's this resource called Safety and the Changing Body. And get this, it's designed for year 6 students.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like a mix of everything. You've got physical changes, digital safety.
hmm
They even cover first aid in there. It's wild.
It's a pretty crucial age to be talking about all this.
It is. I mean, think about it. Year 6, they're like right on the cusp of,
Everything.
yeah, everything's changing. So I'm really fascinated to see how they handle all these, I don't know, sensitive topics.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful and considered with this age group, but it's so important to get it right.
Okay, so skimming through this thing, first thing that jumps out at me,
Mm.
the language, it's like they're not shying away from anything.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you've got menstruation, labia, testicles, even like a full-on definition of sexual intercourse.
Wow, they're going there.
They are. So I'm curious, what do you think about, introducing all this to like 11-year-olds?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because at first glance, you might think, whoa, hold on a minute.
Yeah, a bit much.
Maybe, but the way they've done it, it's like they're giving these kids the actual words.
Right.
Like no more euphemisms or vague roundabout language. It's straight up.
So it's more about being like direct and honest.
Exactly. And that's crucial, I think it can help young people feel so much more comfortable with their bodies when they have the right language to talk about them.
It makes sense. It's about normalizing it,
Yeah.
taking away the taboo.
Totally.
And speaking of normalizing, I noticed they talk about nipples
Oh, we're right.
and their function for both sexes. I mean, come on. That's got to be kind of embarrassing for kids this age, right?
Oh, absolutely. But again, I think it comes back to this whole body positivity thing. It's about like demystifying these body parts,
Right.
showing that they're normal and everyone has them. It takes away that potential for shame or weirdness.
Yeah, like you said, laying the groundwork for healthy attitudes towards their bodies. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about the digital world because, oh boy, does this resource go there.
Yeah.
We've got definitions for stuff like internet trolling and cyberbullying, which, I mean, that's huge for kids these days.
It is like such a big part of their lives.
So how do you think these definitions, like, actually help them, navigate all that?
Well, I think it's about giving them the tools to understand the nuances, right? Because online, it's not always black and white.
Right.
So they're learning that trolling is about like
Oh,
provoking a reaction, getting a rise out of people.
oh yeah.
Whereas cyberbullying is more targeted, it's intentional, it's meant to be hurtful.
And that's a really important distinction to make.
Especially for this age group, Because imagine they're going through all these emotional changes, puberty, hormones,
Yeah.
and then they get bombarded with nasty messages online. It can be seriously damaging.
Oh, absolutely. That can mess you up.
Yeah, if their self-esteem is already fragile, and then you add that on top of it, it's no joke.
So to combat that, I saw they included this THINK acronym.
Oh, yeah.
It stands for true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, kind.
Right. Like before you post, think, is it all of those things?
Yeah, but I don't know. Do you think kids will actually like pause and think before hitting send?
Well, maybe not every time, but it's about planting that seed, giving them a framework for being responsible online, for thinking critically about what they're putting out there.
And that's got to be more important now than ever.
Oh, for sure. With social media and everything, the internet never forgets, right?
Oh, so true. So true. Okay, moving on. There's a section on alcohol which really struck me.
What about it?
It's less about like don't drink and more about adults make the choice.
Yeah.
And they highlight the risks involved.
Right. So it's more about empowering them to make informed decisions.
Yeah. And not just about alcohol, but about all sorts of stuff they'll encounter as they get older.
Exactly. It's about recognizing peer pressure and understanding consequences. Those are life skills.
Absolutely. And this resource goes beyond just the what of these situations. They actually give instructions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like how to put someone in the recovery position if they're unresponsive but breathing,
Wow. Okay.
and how to do back blows and tummy thrusts for choking.
That's incredible, like practical life-saving stuff.
Right. Imagine you're there, someone needs help, and you actually know what to do.
Knowing those things can make all the difference.
Exactly. And finally, they really emphasize seeking help when needed. They provide contact info for childline and emergency services, just reinforcing that you're not alone.
Which is so important, especially at that age, Teenagers, they can feel so isolated.
Oh, yeah.
So knowing there are people you can talk to, adults who can support you, that's huge.
It is. It's like a lifeline, honestly.
Yeah, and it takes away the stigma of asking for help.
I've got to say, this deep dive has been pretty eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's made me realize just how much goes into creating resources like this for such a, delicate age group.
It's a delicate balance.
It is, but they've managed to be informative and engaging without being, I don't know, preachy or overwhelming.
It's impressive. What stood out to you the most?
Honestly, the holistic approach, they're acknowledging that these kids are dealing with so much physically, emotionally, digitally.
Right, it's all connected.
Exactly. And they're giving them the tools to handle it all responsibly.
It's really quite remarkable, but it does make you wonder, with technology and everything changing so fast,
Yeah.
how will these types of resources keep up? How will they adapt to meet the needs of future generations?
That's a great question. And it makes me think about how crucial it is to keep having these conversations, to keep evolving our approach to sex ed and online safety. Because the world is changing, but these fundamental needs, the need for information, for support, for guidance, that's not going anywhere.
Absolutely. And I think that's something for everyone to think about, parents, educators, even the kids themselves. How can we all work together to create a safer and more informed future for young people?
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive.
It was my pleasure. Really interesting stuff.
And for all of you listening out there, keep those conversations going, stay informed, and stay safe.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.